by an Italian associate, Mario Scaramella, his lunch companion at the sushi bar that Wednesday. The next morning, further medical reports arrived. The doctors had run an array of tests. One was for radiation exposure. It came back negative. Instead, they found something more complex and more surprising. Some kind of exotic chemistry, some strange poison was in his blood. Immediate attempts to identify it left them baffled. 2 weeks after the Pine Bar, 2 weeks without food or an accurate diagnosis, Litvinenko was visited by his friend and fellow dissident Alex Goldfarb. In his late 40s and handsome despite his slightly scruffy hair and puffy eyes, which gave him an air of tired wisdom, Goldfarb ran the International Foundation for Civil Liberties, a New York-based human rights organization. Before Goldfarb was allowed to visit, he was told to pull on protective gloves and an apron. "Don't touch the patient," the nurse warned. By now, Litvinenko was surviving on a drip of intravenous fluids. The doctors still couldn't identify the strange signal in his blood, but had no doubt about its power. Something was going badly wrong with Litvinenko's bone marrow. But what and why? It seemed to evade their investigations at every turn. "Frankly," one doctor told Goldfarb, "we're at a loss." Clad in hospital armour, Goldfarb asked Litvinenko about Scaramella, the mysterious Italian he'd mentioned in the BBC interview. "The Italian has nothing to do with it," confided Litvinenko. He was grey and pale and pacing his room with tubes dangling from his body. "I named him on purpose, as a trick." He was spreading disinformation, he explained, because he wanted the killer to feel safe enough to return to the UK to complete his mission. It had been a mistake to drink tea with his Russian visitors, but, Litvinenko thought, he was still strong enough to fight. The assassin had failed. On Friday, November the 17th, 2006, more than 2 weeks after he fell ill, doctors finally identified the chemical signal. Their toxicology reports matched what their patient had been saying all along. Litvinenko wasn't crazy. It now seemed possible someone had indeed tried to kill him. The latest tests suggested thallium, a rare and devious poison. Under an escort of armed police, Litvinenko was transferred to a locked room on a locked floor at University College Hospital, an ultra-modern complex of white concrete and azure glass in the centre of London. Anti-terrorist officers stood watch while the doctors started a new course of treatment. Thallium is a toxic element that can be found in both radioactive forms and in lethal poisonous compounds. In some ways, it's an ideal poison. It's tasteless, odourless, difficult to diagnose, but it also produces some highly characteristic symptoms: patchy thickening of the skin, numbness in the hands and feet. Another symptom is the hair loss that, in Litvinenko, was by now unmistakable. The prognosis, though, was good. Thallium has an antidote. Still worried, Goldfarb sought the help of John Henry, a brilliant toxicologist at London's St Mary's Hospital, who was famous in Litvinenko's circle for his ability to spot poisonings. In 2004, Henry had seen a Ukrainian politician on television. Viktor Yushchenko was a figurehead of the so-called Orange Revolution, a modernizer and an enemy of Russia's President Vladimir Putin. He was also, Henry deduced, being poisoned. Yushchenko's florid, pock-marked face, even filtered through television, betrayed a potent group of compounds called dioxins. Lying in his bed, Litvinenko was pleased to see Henry. "I know you'll get me out of this," he said. The professor took his hand. "Oh, you're strong," he said, noticing his grip. "I could still do push-ups if it wasn't for these tubes," Litvinenko said. The muscular grip alerted Henry to a potential problem in the diagnosis. How could Litvinenko be so physically strong? Why wasn't his energy dissolving away? Goldfarb showed the full toxicology report to Henry. "It says here that the level of thallium is elevated, but only 3 times over the norm," Henry said. "This is too low to account for the symptoms." In his opinion, the hospital physicians had been misled by that mysterious signal. Something else was at play. On Monday, November the 20th, Henry returned a more detailed analysis to Goldfarb. By now, he was sure there was another reason for the patient's rapid decline. "This is not thallium," he said. "His bone marrow function is totally gone, while his muscles are strong. If it were thallium, it would have been just the opposite." And the doctors agreed. They were already moving to drop the thallium treatments. That day, Litvinenko was so sick that he struggled to speak. Yellowing and bald, he instructed Goldfarb to take his photograph.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.